The cost of living is increasing everywhere. How much does it cost to stay in Northeast Houston or in the Humboldt or Atascocita, Kingwood, Texas area? In this video, we'll be discussing the cost of living in the Humboldt, Atascocita, Kingwood, Texas area. So the Humboldt, Atascocita, Kingwood area is a nice place to live. Atascocita was named one of the best places to retire by U.S. News and World Report. It also has Lake Houston's boating and fishing opportunities and also numerous golf courses. Hi, I'm Will Johnson. I'm a local realtor here in the Humboldt, Atascocita, Kingwood, Texas area. If you're thinking about moving to or visiting this area, feel free to give me a call, shoot me a text message, and get me on Instagram, however you can get a hold of me, because as always, I love to hear from you guys. Alright, so let's get into the video. So the Humboldt, Atascocita, Kingwood area is really a very big suburb. So Humboldt, Texas is its own city. It has a city hall, but the Atascocita and the Kingwood areas are not. These are very large suburbs, and they use the Humboldt ISD school system. So the Humboldt ISD school system runs through them, so you'll hear a lot of people refer to this area all as Humboldt.
And to make sure we're all on the same page, it's pronounced Humboldt with a silent H.
So what's the cost of living in the Humboldt, Atascocita, Kingwood, Texas area? So the cost of living in Humboldt, Texas is generally moderate compared to the Houston area. It's a little lower, but the cost of living in the Atascocita and the Kingwood, Texas area, these big suburbs, is a little higher because the Atascocita and Kingwood, Texas are higher end areas. The Atascocita, Texas cost of living is about 2% higher than the U.S. national average and about 5% higher than the Houston area. According to bestplaces.net, which is where I'm getting my stats from, I'll have a link in the description below. So I'll start off with the Humboldt, Texas area. Humboldt, Texas has a population of about 16,000 people. It's a small city, but as I said, the Atascocita and the Kingwood area are very big suburbs in the Houston area. The Humboldt ISD school system runs through these areas. So the cost of living in Humboldt, Texas is a 93.4 out of 100, being the U.S. national average. So the cost of living in Humboldt, Texas is less expensive than the U.S. average and is a little less expensive than the Houston area. So as we look at this chart, overall in Humboldt, Texas, the cost of living is a 93.4. In Texas, it comes in at a 93.9, and the U.S. average is 100. It's a little lower than the Texas average. Groceries come in at a 96. Health care comes in at a 92. Housing is a 70.3, which is really good. The Texas average is a 84.3, and the U.S. being 100. So houses in the Humboldt, Texas area are very affordable and they're very good. The median home cost comes in at about $191,000. Utilities at 96.9, transportation at 118.8, and miscellaneous comes in at 101. So as you see, the Humboldt, Texas area is a lower cost area to live. Like I said, it's a small population of about 16,000 people. Alright, now we'll look at the stats for the cost of living in Atascocita, Texas. So the cost of living, the average comes in at 102. Grocery come in at 98. Healthcare comes in at a 92.4. Housing comes in at a 91.2. The median home cost goes up. Is a very big jump from Humboldt, Texas to $245,100. Utilities come in at a 97.3. Transportation comes in at a 128.6, and miscellaneous comes in at a 101. So as you can see, the Atascocita area is a higher end area, so the home costs jumped up tremendously compared to the Humboldt, Texas area, although that a lot of people kind of consider this the same area. So now we'll look at the cost of living in the Kingwood, Texas area. So the cost of living in Kingwood, Texas is going to be roughly the same as Atascocita. So when I looked up the cost of living in Kingwood, Texas, they didn't have the data to support it, but what I did was I looked up the zip codes for Kingwood, and it came up with 3 zip codes. One it shared with Atascocita, and one zip code had no data as far as houses go. So, but these two zip codes came up, which one is 77345 and one is 77339. So for 77345, the overall cost of living was a 114.4, a lot higher than the Atascocita area, and the median home cost was $323,000. And for the other zip code, the overall cost of living came in at a 101.4, and the median home cost came in just a little lower than Atascocita at a 241,700. So what I did was I averaged them together, and when you average them together, the cost of living overall for Kingwood, Texas comes in at a 107.9, and the median home cost for Kingwood, Texas comes in at a 282,350. So that's the cost of living for Kingwood, Texas. But remember that Kingwood, Texas is just a big suburb in Houston, Texas, so it shows up as Houston, Texas. So what kind of jobs are in these areas? So in the Humboldt, Atascocita, Kingwood, Texas area, there's not many factory type of jobs. A lot of these people work at the power plants or work in the city of Houston at the big skyscrapers and the towers. But this is a suburb, it's a nice place to live, but they do have some businesses there. They have a lot of accounting jobs and things of that nature, but you're gonna see mostly you might have fun places to go, or you might have Walmarts, HEBs, Kroger's, things like that. So it's just a nice area with a lot of nice shopping malls and shopping strips and things of that nature. It's not much industry work in these areas, maybe title companies, and you know, just the common jobs that you would find. But most people who work in these areas travel, they commute, and they work outside of the Humboldt, Atascocita, or Kingwood area. They work inside of the Houston area, in the downtown area, or they work at the power plants. Also, most of the people who live in this area, I think about 90-something% or a high 80% are homeowners. So most of these people own their own homes. A lot of these people are retired, so they come to live here and they don't work anymore. That wraps things up for the cost of living in the Humboldt, Atascocita, Kingwood area. If I missed anything, make sure you put it down in the comments below. Until then, see you in the next video.